Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Randy, and this is the third part in a series I was doing. It kind of got delayed from the first of the year when you had all the vinyl tags and been a lot of contests lately. But it was to show a record from every year since you were born. And this is going to be from 1991 to 2006. I have a few CDs I'm going to have to show because a lot of that was in my prime CD buying time in my life. So I'll have to cheat and use a few CDs in this part. But this was inspired by Dale at Gatefold 33. He was the first person I saw do this. And so I might as well get started. First guy I'm showing is a guy that played a lot around Kansas City, grew up in Springfield, Missouri, which is in the southern part of Missouri. This guy named Joey Skidmore. And this is his album, Welcome to Humansville. He's kind of a garage psych. His biggest claim to fame was that he had a song called Butt Steak, which was a novelty hit on the Dr. Demento show, the guy that played comedic songs on his channel or on a national radio program. But this album called Welcome to Humansville, of course, the most famous, which is Humansville's in Missouri, the most famous resident of Humansville is Edgar Buchanan, who played Uncle Joe on Petticoat Junction for you old folks out there. But yeah, great album by Joey Skidmore for 1991. For 1992, I'm doing this John Prine album, The Missing Years. And this album was actually missing from my collection for quite a while. I had loaned the CD out to somebody and I never did get it back, and finally got it on vinyl now when it was reissued, and this nice packaging, and it's on his Old Boy label. But got some great songs on here. Picture Show, Jesus, the Missing Years, when he actually talks about what happened for Jesus between when he was a teenager up until he started his ministry. Another great one is A Big Old Goofy World, where he tried to fit in every simile he could think of into a song. But great album by the great singer-songwriter John Prine, The Missing Years, for 1992. Next we got 1993, and this album by P.J. Harvey. It's called Rid of Me. She's got kind of a punkish rock, but she's got this raw honesty that's almost uncomfortable as she pours her heart out on these songs. But it was on the Island label, I think produced by Steve Albini. But wonderful album. This is my 1993. 1994, I'm going with the great Tom Petty album, Wildflowers. This is the 3-record reissue that came out. Sounds amazing. It was an album that was produced by Rick Rubin. It was kind of a stripped-down affair. You can really see his talent as a singer-songwriter, Tom Petty, and I love this album. This is my 1994. You Wreck Me is a great song. Crawling Back to You is one of my favorites on here, but great album, Wildflowers. All right. For 1995, I'm going with Radiohead and their album The Bins. Probably their most accessible album, and it's a good place to start before they get real experimental if you really want to start hearing about Radiohead. Probably has their most famous song on here, and Fake Plastic Trees, but this is my album from 1995 on the, it's like trademark label. So it's 1995, Radiohead. For 1996, I'm going with an album, or a group that's probably, well, it's really Neil Hannon is the guy, but it's called The Divine Comedy. This is the album Casablanca, not as well known here in the U.S., but it's been called like chamber pop with some very kind of warped lyrics on some of the songs, like Becoming More Like Alfie, which I guess is like the character from the movie with, I guess it was a book, but with Michael Caine. The Frog Princess was very good. Middle Class Heroes, but very interesting pop music with some different type of lyrics. The Divine Comedy, Casanova. It's my 1996. All right, for 1997, I'm gonna have to use my first CD, and it's gonna be Johnny Lang, Lie to Me. This is a guy who was like, I don't think he was quite 16 years old when his debut came out. That's a wonderful album. I remember seeing him in concert a few years after this, but he still looked like he wasn't very old. But then he had that raw, expressive voice come out of his mouth. It was just kind of unbelievable. The guy so young that was making this kind of music. Lie to Me is a great song. A Quitter Never Wins is great. Rack 'em Up's kind of good blues rocker. But I would recommend Johnny Lang to anybody who likes blues or blues rock. That's my 1997. 1998 was a record store day release. Originally came out in 1998. I have a reissue, but it was very expensive to get the vinyl. Even the CD was kind of up, so it was great to find John Martin, The Church with One Bell. This is an album of covers, and it just sounds amazing. I love the initial tune on here. He's Got All the Whiskey, which was a Bobby Charles penned tune. Bobby Charles, best known for the Swamp Rock, and See You Later Alligator was like, I think, his biggest hit. But he does some other interesting covers on here. He does Strange Fruit, which you wouldn't think you'd be able to pull off, but he does very well. Glory Box, which was a song by Portishead, I thought he did very well with. I didn't think God's Song seems like one that she should have really pulled off, but I didn't think he did it that well. It's a Randy Newman song. Eddie James does a great version of that song, but I don't think he quite did as well on this one. But it's still a wonderful album of covers. That's my 1998 John Martin. My 1999 album is by the great singer-songwriter Randy Newman, who'd been doing a lot of soundtracks. And he kind of came back and did this album, Bad Love, which I love. Doesn't really have the reputation, but he's still as scathing as ever. Like he does the song, I'm Dead But I Don't Know It, about aging rock stars, imperialism. He does the Great Nations of Europe. Does a great kind of country tune, Big Hat, No Cattle. But yeah, still got that sarcasm fully embedded in this album. For my 1999 Randy Newman Bad Love. For the year 2000, I'm going to have to use another CD, and that's the great Southern Culture on the Skids with their album Liquored Up and Lacquered Down, which I love the title cut. Kind of rockabilly, Americana, the little B-52s thrown in. Love the song Pass the Hatchet, Hitting on Nothing. I Learned to Dance in Mississippi. A little bit swampy Americana, like I said, with the B-52s thrown in, but I'd recommend anybody checking out Southern Culture on the Skids. I think they're a fantastic group. So we are getting into my CD years here, as you can tell. 2001 is going to be the Super Furry Animals, Rings Around the World. They did a lot of experimentation on their albums, but they were always melodic. Had some great songs like Juxtaposed with You and Receptacle for the Respectable, which are two of my favorites on this one. And actually, John Cale of the Velvet Underground and Paul McCartney even have credits on this album. But it's a wonderful one. This is one, if you want to get into the Super Furry Animals, this is one I think would be a good starting point. Rings Around the World from 2001. My 2002 is going to be The Flaming Lips. Yoshimi battles the Pink Robots, which sounds kind of crazy, and some of the tunes are, but I think this is a good place to, or the Soft Bulletin that came right before this, are ones to really check out from the Flaming Lips. It has the song Do You Realize, probably the the happiest song about thinking about our imminent death. uh, Ego Tripping at the Gates of Hell. Fight Test is a very good song, and then the title track. But yeah, I really love this. Probably my favorite Flaming Lips album. For 2002. 2003, it's going to be a group that comes from Australia. Sorry about that. I didn't want to say Australia and it be New Zealand or something like that. But I knew it was from that area. But yeah, the Sleepy Jackson, their album Lovers. I had first heard a song called Miniskirt that was on a CD that was provided by the music publication Uncut, which came out of Canada. And they would a lot of times have I think they always had a CD that came with the magazine. And I really like that song. And it's on here as a bonus track. I don't know if it was on the original album, but Vampire Racecourse and Good Dancer, but several great songs on this album. And they're kind of what you would call some country flair, Americana, alternative rock, with some electronic music too. But a unique mix, and I really love this album and the one that came right after this one, but by the Sleepy Jackson. For 2004, I have the wonderful Nora Jones, and this is her album Feels Like Home, which came right after her big hit Come Away With Me. This is a little more blues bass, less jazzy, has more of Americana feel. I really love the title track, which is a Tom Waits tune, and then quite a few others on here. Sunrise, which is the opening track, and Creepin' In is a fantastic song as well. But Nora Jones, I didn't do what their Come Away With Me did, but it's still a fantastic album and a little bit different. Maybe it's not what people were expecting. I don't know. All right, for 2005, it's going to be probably my favorite lyricist out there right now, and that's Josh Ritter, and this is his album, The Animal Years. And it has my two favorite Josh Ritter songs probably, and Girl in the War and Thin Blue Flame. Two great songs. He weaves in famous people and historical events and religious connotations in some of the songs. He's a guy from Idaho. He even has a song called Idaho on here. And Wolves is probably the most catchy song. It should have been a big hit, I think. And Best for the Best. I just really love that song. Kind of it gives you kind of a hopelessness feel sometimes, but it's done in such a way that it's just enjoyable. But not that hopelessness is enjoyable, but I don't know. I guess you would get what I mean if you listen to this album. And I would recommend that. It's one of my favorites is The Animal Years by Josh Ritter. And my last one for this segment is from 2006, and it's the kind of punkish, garagey, the Marked Men, Fix My Brain, which is a great tune. Someday's a great tune. A Little Time, and Sully My Name. I really like that song as well. It's on the Dirt Nap label. I kind of like this label here. We've got Marked Men, and the album is Fix My Brain, and then it's almost like they got a lobotomy by the hole in the record hole. But anyway, that's another album. Like if you like garagey punk, the Marked Men, and they're kind of melodic too, which I liked. So anyway, that's my third segment. I'm going to try to put down below a link to my first two segments since they were a little while back. And next time we'll go from 2007 to 2022. And hope everyone's doing well, and take care.